24 after its takeoff from Kawayan, Isabela.
Natagpuan ang wreckage sa kagubatang bahagi ng barangay Titarum sa bayan ng Divilacan. Pero kasabay niyan ang kumpirmasyong pumanaw na ang lahat ng 6 na sakay ng eroplano.
Sadly, there were no survivors.
Retrieval operations begin in Isabela for the remains of 6 people on board the ill-fated Cessna 206 plane.
As soon as possible, ibababa po natin yung mga labi ng mga pasahero. Kumuha na po kami ng clearance mula sa crime lab. Pero yung wreckage, kailangan pong i-secure.
Quite a busy time for the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP. The Cessna plane that went missing in Isabela in January has been found. The search is still on for a medical evacuation helicopter in Palawan. And Public Services Committee Chairperson Senator Grace Poe says she is not letting CAAP off the hook over the airspace shutdown on New Year's Day. We discuss all of these with CAAP's Deputy Director General tonight on the Chiefs. Good evening, I'm Edwin Gao. With me in the studio, of course, is Robbie Alampay of One News, and online, Ana Marie Pamintuan, the Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and of course, Tucci Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5. Well, Huwebes na.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Let's start off with the basics. Ami, what's your top story for tonight?
Siyempre, yung malaki, yung tinuro nung dalawang suspect, si Congressman Tevez, no?
Yeah.
As the yun daw nag-order ng pagpatay kay Governor Degamo. Hindi lang medyo malinaw ba sa inyo kung si Congressman Arnie Tevez o yung
Actually, marami pang tanong, and also I think I don't know how your reporter got it, but at least nung binalita kanina sa big story, it wasn't marami pang tanong doon, like it wasn't a direct
It was second hand,
diba? Second hand narinig niya. And then, tinanong niya, kaninong lupa tong safe house natin kay Tevez, sinong Tevez, wala rin, di rin malinaw yung sinabi.
So those are clearly qualifiers. Number one,
Secretary Remulla.
Well, I was saying, those are clearly qualifiers.
Ang nabangan ko yung sabi kasi ni Secretary Remulla, di ba? There's even a Zoom meeting. In other words, in that Zoom meeting, nandun yung mastermind, or parang ganun yung implication. So I was hoping that it would be a little more direct than just, what
just,
the suspect really said. Parang nililid pa nga yung question, di ba? I mean, it sa leading one, sinong Tevez, no? Parang
ay, iniintay lang nila umuwi kasi si Congressman Tevez nasa US
Yeah.
Yes.
Whose permit to travel expires today, March 9?
Stem cell therapy.
3 to 4 daw yung masterminds, di ba? Yung nagplano. Kaya syempre, yung kapatid nandito Yung isa, wala. So baka ganun.
Yeah, so just to qualify that, unang-una ang sinabi is Congressman Tevez, hindi binigay yung buong pangalan. Number 2, this is second-hand or third-hand information. So far, at least so far as we know, what we only have heard of is circumstantial. And yung sabi nga ni Lucci, yung nabanggit na Zoom meeting, we're hoping that was recorded. Kasi baka mamaya nag-Zoom meeting sila, pero nagkitaan lang sila over Zoom.
In the meantime, si Justice Secretary Remulla himself is saying, I have to see the report on this. I have to read the actual testimonies. I mean, yung mga sinabi nitong mga testigo, mga suspect na to before he can go further.
Yes.
Okay, we have a lot to talk about, but of course we will be starting the show with CAAP and aviation issues. We will bring that in after this very short break, so please stay with us. survivors in the Cessna plane crash in Isabela Province. Let's get updates from Captain Edgardo Diaz, the Deputy Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP. Sir, magandang gabi. Captain Diaz, and welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening, Captain.
Good evening.
Magandang gabi po. Good evening.
Well, sir,
magandang gabi po.
yes, sir. Welcome back to the Chief, sir. Of course, we do want to talk about a whole range of issues, but let me start off yung development nga kanina, yung nahanap na yung Cessna that's been missing for more than a month. Pero sir, let me back up a bit. Clearly, in the last 2 months, we've had a spate of accidents or incidents involving general aviation. And as I understand it, general aviation is normally more problematic than commercial aviation. Have you been able to pin down kung bakit nagkaroon tayo ng spate of problems with these cases?
Right now, we are studying about it. Pinag-aaralan natin. Pero ang punto po ay tiningnan natin kung complete ang check ng mga aeroplano, the records. Are they properly documented? Lumalabas naman po na nakatugon po sila sa mga aspeto ngayon. No? They are complete. The pilots had their training. They were checked and released to fly on the line. So the area now that we are looking at is what caused these accidents. It could be because of the equipment, yung aircraft, kung tiningnan natin ang mga technical lag nila at yung qualification, yung mga piloto, ano bang ginawa nila.
Pero sir, when you look at the numbers, yes sir. Go ahead, sir.
No, that was me, Ed.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Pero
Okay.
so far, yun na nga, no? It's just really curious na sunod-sunod po itong mga general aviation planes. Would you attribute it more to equipment or to what they call human factors? No? Not necessarily human error, but human factors.
Well, basically, we are looking at several factors. One is what happened there in Mayon. The aircraft was supposed to make a left turn, but we are wondering why it turned out they ended up towards the right side of the supposed flight path. So that's a big question. Hindi po siya dapat nandun sa lugar na yon. Ang dapat ay nandoon po siya sa opposite side. So that is one. No? Kung bakit po siya nagkaganon, maaaring hindi natin alam kung anong nasa isip ng piloto at the time. Dito naman po sa Makunakon, Isabela, maaaring ang weather po played a very big role. Alam po namin yung lugar na yon, madali pong ma-form ang clouds, mag-change ang weather. Ang clearance po nila ay visual flight rules, meaning to say dapat nakikita ng piloto ang kanyang mga landmarks patungo sa kanyang destinasyon. Pero dahil po sa hihip ng hangin dyan, mountainous area, clouds may easily form and obstruct the visibility of the pilot. Ang nangyari po dito sa Cessna 206, yung pong flight path niya ay diretso lamang from Kawayan to Makunakon. He was found a little to the right, meaning nag-deviate po siya, pumunta siya sa kanan. Kung bakit po siya pumunta doon, yan po hindi pa natin alam. Marami pong pwedeng maging factor kung bakit po siya pumunta doon.
Pero di ba, Captain, ano na yan? Instrumentation na yung ginagamit nila. Hindi ko alam kung anong klaseng aeroplano yung ginamit doon. Pero ang intindi ko po dyan ay it's really guided more by the instruments rather than actual physical, yung visual environment.
Tama po kayo, marami pong ganyan. Pero nagkataon po, itong Kawayan going to Makunakon, ito po ay area na walang masyadong navigational aid. Na ibig sabihin that the pilots will be guided by the instruments coming from the aircraft supported by ground equipment. Unfortunately, wala po yun. Kaya po siya ay under visual flight rules kasi po hindi magagamitan ng instrumento. Basic instrument flying will help, no? But unfortunately, ayun na nga, subject to investigation, hindi po natin maintindihan
Apa.
kung
Sir,
bakit they ended up sa kanan.
Sir, without prejudice to the investigations that will continue, let's touch a bit as well on this development and finally the locating and the efforts to retrieve the victims from this plane. This was about 43 days ago. Take us back, give us an idea on why it was very difficult to finally just locate this plane.
Number one po dyan, yung weather. There were so many days that we canceled or the search and rescue operations canceled. No, they're supposed to be search because of the weather. Sunod-sunod po yung cancellation nila. Though we removed the restriction dyan or we restricted commercial flights para full ang operation ng search. But most of the time, they ended up going back to Kawayan because of the weather. Natatakpan po ng ulap yan. Malimit po matakpan ng ulap yung lugar na yan.
Congressman, meron pang isang nawawalang helicopter sa Palawan, medical evacuation helicopter. Ano nang status ng yung search for that medevac aircraft?
Yung Yellow Bee.
Magpahanggang ngayon po, no? Magpahanggang ngayon po ay hinahanap pa rin niya. Wala pong makita pa na konkretong bagay para makapagsabi kung nasaan siya. At ang report po sa akin kanina, nung mag-follow up po ako dyan, ang dagat po, no? Very, yung current niya is moving too much. Yung current and the waves po ay malalaki. So that will be very difficult for the search team. Marami na po tumutulong sa atin dyan, including Malaysia. Ang US Coast Guard po ay naka-standby. Pero sad to say, wala pa po tayo makita.
Captain, it's not the first time na may nag-crash na medevac aircraft, no? Natatandaan ko, meron na dun tumama sa resort sa Los Baños, Ano bang mga, anong rules dyan, the role of CAAP in regulating this industry? Saka malaki ba yung industry na yan dito sa Pilipinas? Mga private medical evacuation flights?
Meron pong mangilan-ngilan, hindi naman po napakarami. No? Pero ang rules po dyan ay parehas din po ng rules ng mga general aviation and commercial flights that they have to file their clearances. Yan po dapat na ayon doon. Ano? Though, we give priority sa mga medical evacuation flights dahil buhay nga po nakataya dyan. May priority po sila.
Mm-hmm. Sir,
Pero yung airworthiness na, sinong nag-check ng airworthiness ng aircraft?
Ang airworthiness po niyan ay check ng CAAP every time they renew their certificate of airworthiness. Normally po, that is being done by their own service or mechanical service providers. No? May kanya-kanya po. Ang lahat po ng mga yan, hindi po mabibigyan ng certification at permission to operate unless they have a certified maintenance organization na siyang mag-maintain ng kanilang mga aeroplano.
Well, sir, going by what you said a while ago, it appears clear na yung Albay and yung Isabela aircraft deviated from the planned the planned flight paths. Now I understand po, of course, some of the aircraft are very basic. Yung 206, I think, is considered the parang the SUV of Cessnas. It's for rugged areas. Pero given whether or not they have the instrumentation to guide them, in the last few years, sir, diba, we've had a lot of portable instruments that are available commercially, including our phones that give us GPS paths from place to place. I'm wondering lang if that's been able to help or hinder pilots in flying through the soup.
Actually po, there are so many gadgets available, no? But unfortunately, yung pong mga gadgets na yan cannot necessarily be used during flight. Yung pong cellphone, in my experience, no po, kapag umakyat na kayo na around 1,000 to 2,000
Wala
feet,
na.
wala na pong signal yan. Yung mga ibang instruments naman po, sometimes, no, pilots would bring mga gadgets to help them, gano, parang backup. Pero as a matter of fact, hindi po authorized yun. Yung pong mga bagay na lahat ng dinadala at kinakabit sa aeroplano should be certificated, no? Hindi po iyan magdudulot ng sunog, hindi po makaka-interfere sa signals ng radios, ng instrument mismo. So marami pong consideration. Hindi po maaaring basta-basta na lamang ilagay o dalhin ng piloto.
Pero yung Cessna, Captain, di ba? Gamit na gamit yan as a training plane. Alam ko, ginagamit yan ng PAL, for example, and many other schools, including, I think, the Philippine Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. No? What does this say about Cessna as an aircraft?
Totoo po yung sinabi ninyo. Ang Cessna po is a very reliable aircraft. Yan po ang ginagamit mostly by mga training schools. No? Even yung mga iba po sa ibang bansa, yung mga leisure flying, yung mga privately owned, ang Cessna po ay very dependable. At kung minsan po ay hindi ang aeroplano, kung minsan baka ang piloto. Ganon din po, kung minsan hindi ang aeroplano o hindi ang piloto, baka ang aeroplano. Sa pagkakataon pong ito, kamukha nung sa nangyari sa Mayon, yun na nga, nakapagtataka, bakit po napunta doon? Ayos po ang aeroplano, maganda ang kondisyon, pero bakit po sila nagpunta doon na hindi naman dapat? No? Pero hindi po natin alam ang buong kadahilanan dahil hindi natin nakita kung paano nangyari sa sitwasyon na yun. Ganon din po sa Makunakon. Sila po ay kumanan, maaari pong umiiwas sila sa mga ulap. No, the position is something like 9.5 nautical miles to Makunakon. Ang distance po ng Makunakon from Kawayan is just 32 nautical miles. Malapit na po sila. Less than 10 nautical miles, nandun na sila. So, ano po kaya ang nangyari? Malaki pong katanungan, pero yan po ang investigasyon.
Pero sakali pong walang nangyari, let's just say the pilot decided to deviate and, well, they landed safely. Natitrace niyo po ba yung deviation na yan? And if so, meron po bang penalties for, going against the usual flight path or whatever you call it?
Ang papunta po ng Makunakon from Kawayan, wala po siyang airway. So, yan po ay pang VFR flight talaga. Yung based lamang sa pilotage skills ng piloto, you base it on landmarks or kung nakikita mo sa malayo, yun ang pupunta mong direksyon.
So, kailangan
dahil
maganda yung visibility. Dapat ganun yung
tama po kayo.
Okay.
Tama po kayo. No? So, kaya po yung kanyang pag-deviate is not really a violation. It could be because of the necessity of the pilot to do that in order to avoid weather. Yung pong clouds, hindi po kaya pasukin na maliliit na aeroplano yan. Kakalug-kalugin sila dyan at maaari po silang ibagsak niyan. Kaya po, malamang po yan, umiiwas yan.
Captain Diaz, atras po ako ng konti dito, if you don't mind. We do want to talk about CAAP itself, notwithstanding all the work that you're going to have, you're already neck deep into over these past weeks. But we wanted to talk about the airport shutdown also on New Year's Day, particularly because the Senate Committee on Public Services just released their report. To make a long story short, Senator Grace Poe is saying that, obviously there was it was a confluence of a lot of factors and errors, she said, but the bottom line even to that is she's saying that these were factors and errors which could have been avoided. Do you agree with that assessment?
Ang sa akin pong palagay, maaari pong na-avoid, no? had it been, or probably there should have been a better management of the maintenance of the equipment.
Could you,
So that's an admission nga that the
Yeah, Captain, magkano nga abutin nun? Kasi merong mga estimates na billion yan eh. If you're going to upgrade the equipment, magkano kaya siya, yung range?
Malaki po ang aabutin po, no? Kasi ito pong ating CNS ATM, kung i-upgrade po natin, it would amount to several billions of pesos. No? So, hindi ko naman po talagang siguradong nagkaroon ng kapabayaan. Maari pong iyan, dahil nga po ang nakita namin sa circuit breaker, nagkaroon po siya ng basag sa loob mismo, yung internal mechanism ng circuit breaker, which we pointed out from the very beginning that could have caused, no, the problem. Nung yan po ay inimbestigahan, tinignan po yung loob, pinorensic. Nakita po namin yan na nagkaroon po ng basag sa loob. Na yung basag na iyon ay hindi po ma-explain kung saan nanggaling. No? Pero nakakita po kami dyan ng defect. So maaring yan po naging dahilan. So kaya po hindi talaga masiguro kung kahit na mine-maintain mo, pero paano nangyaring ang loob ng isang circuit breaker ay magkakaroon ng basag. Hindi po namin
Gusto naman yung UPS.
Yung
Di ba
hindi naman
pinadala nyo
po.
sa, yung UPS, pinadala nyo sa Turkey. Kumusta na yung investigation? What happened there?
Ang UPS po ngayon ay maganda na po ang pagtakbo. Ano po? Na ipagawa na po natin yan. Dalawa na po ang gumagana, so may backup po tayo. Meron pa po tayong pinurchase na 2 bago. Ilalagay din po yon at i-online. Magiging pong 4 ang ating UPS. So patuloy po ang aming ginagawang mga hakbang in order to prevent what happened last January 1. No? Andiyan po yung mga spare parts ng ating mga AVR, and we are going to purchase another AVR, sa rin pong bago. At with that also, pati po yung mga mekanismo or yung mga sirkito para sa ating visa, no, yung ginagamit po for communication, dumating na po yung mga bagong parts niya. Nailagay na rin po. Ang ating monitoring po, ginawa po natin mas aggressive. At ngayon po nakikipag-usap kami sa aming counterparts sa Singapore. Sa katunayan po, pupunta kami doon para pag-aralan ang kanilang ginagawa doon sapagkat magkapareho po halos ating equipment. So, malaki po. Ang ating po mga engineers ay ipapatraining din po natin.
So can you reassure the public with some certainty na hindi na mauulit yung nangyari nung New Year's Day?
Sa ngayon po, may redundancy tayo. No? Kung as a matter of fact po, dito po sa Pasay, about 2 days ago, nagkaroon po kami ng power disruption twice. No? And siguro po ang distansya ay mga about an hour. No? Na nagkaroon po ng power interruption. Sandali lang siya, pero namatay ang ilaw at nabuhay ulit. Sandali lang. Yung po could cause some of the servers to, kumbaga, it would require rebooting. And that will take about an hour and 20 to 30 minutes. So, ang ganda po at hindi naman nagkaroon ng interruption sa equipment. Meaning to say, gumana po yung mga ginawa natin doon.
Captain,
So, ganoon po. Medyo pinaghahandaan po natin at pinagaganda.
Captain, I recall that a few days after that airport shutdown here, a similar occurrence took place in the U.S., no? And the shutdown was also pretty massive. How is that similar to the airport shutdown or different from it?
Halos parehas po. Nagkaroon po sila ng power glitch din. So, nag-usap po kami niyan ng Federal Aviation Authority. As a matter of fact po, ay pupunta sila dito sa atin sa Pilipinas para po magkaroon kami ng ugnayan. Mapag-aralan namin yung ano nangyari doon, ano nangyari dito. Magkakaroon po ng ganong klase ng ugnayan. At gusto nila tayong tulungan para mapalakas po ang ating CNS-ATM.
So just to put it in context, yung nangyari ba nung airport shutdown, yung nung New Year, na airport shutdown, was that something that was actually, I mean, it's not a very rare occurrence in the way that we initially thought it was, no? I mean, kasi after, the US shutdown happened naman, parang everybody was wondering, bakit halos magkasunod? So, I just want to know, yun po ba madalas nangyayari, hindi lang nare-record or hindi lang nababalita ng malawak katulad ng nangyari nung New Year?
Hindi po naman. Hindi po naman siya madalas. No? Though, according po sa counterpart natin sa Singapore, sila po nakakaranas once in a while. Ang kagandahan lang po sa kanila, ang backup nila ay hindi lang po isa, kung hindi dalawa. They have 3 systems, no? So, hindi po nila nagiging problema yan. Doon sabi nila, nakaka-experience sila. Kaya po maganda na matuto tayo sa kanila at matuto rin sila sa atin.
Cap, we hope
I
you can
wonder,
stay with
Captain,
us.
at the height of that, there were calls for heads to roll. I just wonder internally whether anything like that happened. Kasi hindi na po rin nabalita kung may natanggal ba, may na-penalize ba, may na-suspend ba. Could you give us some details on the internal, ano ba tawag doon, regulations or controls that happened after that?
Ngayon po, meron pa rin investigasyon po no, sa loob ng CAAP. Nung una pong investigasyon, yung internal namin, bukod po doon sa external, yung pong internal is not really to find out who is at fault. No? Wala pong ganon. Sapagkat ang CAAP po, we always advocate. Actually, yan po ang binibigay natin sa lahat po ng airline. No? Yung pong non-punitive. No? Sa ating pong rules and regulations sa CAAP, meron po tayong mga voluntary disclosure, non-punitive. Wala po, actually po sa PICAR, yung Philippine Civil Aviation Regulation, wala pong makikita doon na salitang parang punishment, no? Sapagkat nga po ang ina-advocate niyan is to find out the real problem and improve the process or procedures to attain safety. So ganun po. Sa una po, na-pinpoint natin kung ano yung mga maaaring dapat i-improve. Ang susunod po ay yung namang disciplinary action. Yan po ay ongoing.
Okay, Cap, we hope you can stay with us. We just need to take a quick break and we will come back with Captain Deputy Director General Edgardo Diaz after this short breather. Keep it here in One News.
Welcome back to the Chiefs. Still with us is Captain Edgardo Diaz, Deputy Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAP. Captain Diaz, we've been talking about upgrades and redundancies, everything on the systems and the hardware especially. But I wanted to talk about, as you said kanina, the maintenance, the monitoring. As you put it, we are more aggressive now in the monitoring. What exactly changes? How are we doing it before, prior to the shutdown? And what's changed in our protocols for monitoring and maintenance now?
Well, before, actually, what we did now is we replaced the chief, ng air navigation service, and then we assigned another person para to look at the system and also the CNS ATM side. Kasi dalawa yan, isang power plant and then the CNS ATM side. No? So naglagay kami ngayon ng mga bagong tao dyan in order to check and identify yung mga gaps or what is lacking. No? And then, aside from that, ni-review namin yung mga proseso nga, yung mga checklists, adherence to standard, yung protocols nila. So now, we emphasize the importance of following it religiously, no cutting corners, no shortcuts, hindi na tayo papayag dyan. And I believe natutunan talaga ng mga tao yung lessons.
Captain, balikan ko lang
if
yung
you don't
Senate
mind, Captain.
investigation kasi sabi ni Senator Grace po dapat daw and in fact si Transport Secretary Jimmy Bautista is also in favor na paghiwalayin daw yung functions ng CAAP as operator and regulator. Are you in favor of this proposal?
Sinusuportahan po natin yan. Yan po talaga ang gusto po natin mangyari. Sapagkat tayo lang po sa Pilipinas at siguro kung meron bang iba pa, ikakaunti lamang. Ang regulator na, operator pa. Dapat po talaga kami ay just concentrated sa regulatory portion. Yan po ang gusto namin mangyari.
So yung air traffic control system, okay sa inyo i-privatize?
Okay po sa amin yan.
Meron na bang any movement, any specific movement in this direction? Would you know about it?
Ang pagkakaalam ko po, yan po ay matagal nang pinarating po sa ating presidente. Ngayon po, nagkaroon na rin ng awareness ng ating mga legislators. Hopefully po, magkaroon yan ng katuparan.
Kailangan ba yan, does it need to be legislated, yung private operations ng air traffic control?
Yes po, ma'am. There should be legislation and then a change sa amin pong yung nag-create na CAAP, yung 9497, yung RA 9497. Kailangan po mabago lahat yan.
Sir, balikan ko lang po yung...
pa itatahak niyan, sa kasakali. Yeah, go ahead, Robby.
Sir, balikan ko lang po yung kanina in terms of a more aggressive monitoring. Because there are two things there, if you don't mind, some clarification there. Because there are two things there to what you said. On the one hand, you said, ang ginawa talaga namin, tinanggal namin yung tao, pinalitan yung tao. And then on the other hand, you did say also that there's a need to be more diligent. Ang question ko lang po is, was the diligence problem on the part of the person replaced, or was it a systemic gap that needed to be, to be more systematic, to be more frequent, whatever? And I mean, is the aggressiveness just in hiring a more aggressive person, or the system itself? Does that system itself need to be more aggressive, more regular, more tedious?
It is the system po, no? They are doing yung what they're supposed to do, pero nagkaroon po ng mga konting, parang nag-relax ng konti sa implementation. Gusto po namin ibalik yung dati na talagang dapat na ang level ay mataas. Hindi po yung parang nagre-relax tayo. So, likewise, I do believe, no, at yan po ay nirekomenda natin, at yan po ay siyang gagawin, na we have to give our technical people recurrent training. Yung pong parang refresher. They have to undergo that para sila ay sigurado nila yung ginagawa. No? Kasi mahirap. Ang last training nila ay several years ago. Though they have yung mga regular every year, parang ano lamang classroom session. Palagay ko po kailangan meron pang additional activities doon. Yung mga hands-on training.
Sir, it's good to hear that you already have a backup to the backup of the backup for the UPS. Pero sir, yung recommendation ba ng Public Services Committee ni Senator Grace po, was it calling for a backup or redundancy of the air traffic management system or only of the UPS? Because before, immediately after nung nangyari yung glitch ng New Year's Day, there was some discussion at least on whether or not we need a separate and independent, physically independent backup system for the air traffic management.
It is for the CNS ATM po. Yun ang backup na minimension po nila. No? Sa ngayon po kasi, yung ating CNS ATM po, walang backup siya. No? Though the power plant, meron pong mga redundancies, yung pong ating mismong CNS ATM po ay wala. So yan po ngayon ang under talks with the providers. It is a consortium before of Thales and Sumitomo companies, no, joint venture. Yung pong upgrades now is also in progress ng ating system. Yan po ay actually kababasa ko lang po ng sagot sa amin ng Thales kanina. So ongoing po yan. Yan po ay pinagmimitingan. Kaninang hapon po nagkaroon din ng meeting tungkol dyan. So ganyan po ka-aggressive, no? Until we get it, yung upgrades, and then eventually medyo medium to long term yung backup system po.
Magkano nga abutin yan, Captain? Saka I remember nung nagkagulo sabi, merong mga report na mga 10 years behind na actually ang technology compared to our neighboring countries. Is that accurate?
Hindi po naman. Gaya po na sinabi ko, sa Singapore po ay halos kaedad po na sa atin yan. Halos pareho po tayo ng system. Yung pong ating system actually requires lamang po mga upgrades, updating ng kanyang features at ayos pa po yan. Though, opo, tumatagal na po siya. Kaya naman po kailangan din ng isang backup. So, sa tanong po ninyo, mga magkakano po abutin? Yung pong meron tayo ngayon, inaabot po ng mga somewhere around 10 billion pesos during the time. No? Siguro po ngayon is higher na. Siguro po kailangan tayo ng mga 13 to 15 po dyan.
1.3 or 1.5?
Mga 1.3 to 1.5 po. Baka mahigit pa.
Saan kaya isosource yung funding? Because approved na yung budget, di ba? For the year.
Opo. So, ang tinitingnan po natin for this year ay yung pong upgrades, updates ng ating ng mga features ng software and hardware natin. And then, yung pong sa backup, hindi po naman ganong kamahal yun sa backup. No? May kamahalan din, pero hindi po ganon. Dalawa po kasing klase ang ating ine-aim. One is the ultimate backup system at yung isa po ay an independent backup system. No? So magkaiba po yun. Kapag ka-independent po, that is completely a duplication of what we have na you can put elsewhere. Pwede po sa ibang lugar natin ilagay. Ang function po nun, kapareho po nito ngayon natin. Ano? Yung pong backup, na yung ultimate backup naman, kapag ka nag-fail, ito ngayong meron tayo, at least hindi po mawawala lahat at maipagpapatuloy pa rin ang operations without degradation sa safety, pero hindi po ganong ka-extensive. na kamukha ng primary. Yan po ang pagkakaiba noon.
Okay, Captain Edgardo Diaz. Sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Cap.
Captain.
Thank you, sir.
Marami.
Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po.
Good night.
Sige po,
Captain
good evening.
Diaz po ang Deputy Director General ng Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. And let's start up another conversation after the break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. The Chiefs, we're seeing lots of developments today on the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Let's bring into the discussion the lawyer of the Degamo's, Attorney Jerry Carillo. Welcome to the Chiefs, Attorney Carillo.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, attorney.
Good evening, attorney.
Yes, good evening.
Attorney, of course, ang malaking balita ngayon, kagaya nga pinag-uusapan namin kanina nila Ami Pamintuan, one of the suspects, one of the alleged perpetrators, allegedly tagging the Teveses, no particular Teves, but based on the statements that you've seen in media reports or wherever else, how strong would you assess the statements? Kasi kanina nga, parang he was quoting somebody else who told him na lupa daw to ng mga Teves, and it wasn't really a very specific naming of which particular Teves. What do you think?
That's why, together with Attorney Dominic Ilner and other lawyers, we will evaluate the testimony of the state witnesses because may dalawang accused who turned themselves into state witnesses. So we will evaluate closely their testimony and the probative value of the testimony and their affidavit that they have already executed before the Department of Justice. So we will have to review the witnesses' account and likewise, sabi nila may video daw sila. So we would like to connect that to the other testimony of the witnesses because at the crime scene may testimony din ang mga witnesses doon. May isang testimony na nagkakape pa daw doon in one of the places before the attack. So and likewise may nakakita din sa kanila. So we would like to dugtungin namin yun and saka sa mga ballistic report because the firearms that were seized were submitted to ballistic examination.
Attorney,
so we will also check on that.
Attorney, balikan ko lang, Attorney, if you don't mind, kasi you called at least two of them state witnesses. Do we take it to mean that they've been accepted already by the DOJ under the Witness Protection Program? Tama ho ba yun?
There is a proceedings for that under the law. So that means the lawyers will have to evaluate the probative value of that witnesses. First, the proceeding is during the preliminary investigation of the Department of Justice. They may already declare these witnesses as state witnesses.
Yes, sir,
or in the court, their testimony will be submitted in the court.
Yes, sir.
So
Pero, sir,
in that process,
Yes, sir.
they will be admitted as state witnesses. But right now, they are not yet admitted as state witnesses.
Yes, sir. If I recall correctly, kasi sir, the DOJ or the prosecutors will make a recommendation and the court may or may not approve an application for state witness.
Yes,
Do we take it to
that
mean
is
that in your discussion with the DOJ, that the DOJ is already committed or has already decided to recommend taking these two in as state witnesses? Tama ho ba?
Right now, the Department of Justice, the Witness Protection Program, is evaluating the probative value of their testimony.
So hindi pa. Attorney, ako,
Ikaw muna.
amigo. Attorney, ito one of the wife of one of the victims who happens to be also at the site during the time of the murder, in an interview told our reporter that she noticed that that the security in the compound at that time was very lax, and that it was a strange thing that it was very lenient, because apparently they had been there a couple of times before and the security was very, very strict. So what she was trying to imply, in effect, was it's very possible that there was an insider in all of this. Sa tingin niyo po ba meron pong yun po meron po bang probative value yung ganong testimony na mukhang merong anong tawag doon, parang insider na kawatan din na naroon sa loob, kakuntsaba?
I was informed by Colonel Pilari, the staff of the R2, that means the intelligence, and right now the spokesperson for the Philippine National Police, Region 7, that papalitan nila ang lahat ng police assigned to the provincial command of the Negros Oriental and will be assigned here in Cebu. And all of them will be investigated, particularly police officer of Bayawan, Municipality of Bayawan Police Station. So I don't want to preempt the investigation right now being conducted by the Regional Police Office led by the R2 or the Intelligence Office of the region.
Attorney,
Sir,
tinanggal
without
na yung
prejudice to...
Bayawan City Police Force. They were shot already. Anyway, yung sa investigation ngayon, ang tinuturo ng lahat, although nag-deny na si Congressman Arnie Teves, pero mukhang lahat ng mga pinatutunguhan ng investigasyon sa kanila. In the case of the Degamos, meron pa bang ibang tinitignan na grupo? Kasi sabi ni Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, from 3 to 4 masterminds ang tinitingnan nila. Are you looking beyond the Teves clan na involved, possibly involved dito sa nangyari?
One of the Teveses are, the Teveses are the main suspect kasi one is yung nangyari sa COMELEC at then to the Supreme Court, and saka may banta na sa mga Degamos earlier than that. And the banta are coming from the CHIEFS camp. So more likely they would be, one of the suspects. But just like again, I don't want to preempt the investigation being conducted by the Department of Justice. But right now they're trying to narrow down the Teveses as one of those that considered as a main suspect.
Attorney, hindi niyo pa po ba napapanood yung video na tinukoy ni Justice Secretary Remulla? Was that not shown to you?
Nandoon sa Maynila ngayon si Attorney Dominic Elnar, and I think he will be coordinating with the Department of Justice. Magkikita kasi kami doon sa Negros Oriental.
Pero Attorney, have you been...
you a time frame by which, kasi sabi ni Secretary Remulla, the end is near, So everybody was kind of hoping that, let's just say, in the very foreseeable future, magkakaroon na ng definite suspect no, sa mastermind. Kayo po ba, nabigyan na po ba or meron po ba kayong sense na talagang malapit ng malaman kung sino talaga ang mastermind?
Yes, because of the earlier killings or murders happening in Negros Oriental, cases were already filed against Arnie Teves, and I think more is coming because some of the cases were dismissed here in Negros Oriental, and I think they will be refiled. There are actually series of murders or killings happening in Negros Oriental. The incident of Governor Degamo actually capitulated everything of the series of murders or killings in Negros Oriental related to politics. That's the reason why, at least with this incident, everything hastened, no? And at least the Department of Justice is trying to focus on this incident happening in Negros Oriental.
Attorney, diretso ko na po kayo, Attorney.
That it's really Congressman Teves.
Actually, not just Congressman Teves, but the members of the Teves family, yung natukoy, no? So let us wait for the final report coming from the Department of Justice because according to them, they will wrap up. So we would like to check on that.
Attorney, given all the evidence you've seen, the testimonies I suppose that you've read from the affidavits, do you expect or is it reasonable to expect from your end na charges will be filed against members of the Teves clan for the Degamo killing? I'm being specific here kasi charges have been filed against Congressman Arnie Teves for 2019 supposed murders for the Degamo killing po.
I will not preempt the investigation being conducted right now by the Department of Justice. Pero sabi ni Secretary Remulla, they will conclude sooner.
Okay. Attorney Jerry Carillo, sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And that's all we have for this edition of the Chiefs. We hope it was discussed. We'll keep the conversation going. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.